is what we call
hater shit.
There is no better term.
You know me. If you know me, you know me. If you know, you know. You know, so. Who raised you? Just doing an FTR again. Basically, they've began to kind of repeat every single thing in some way, shape, or form that I've already been through. For instance, there was a time that Xavier and I were sleeping on North Avenue Beach. His father, now understand, I met Xavier in the capacity of his brother was the district attorney. I had been sexually assaulted by a man. My vehicle, a Cadillac CTS, had been stolen and sold at auto auction. I had been unlawfully thrown out of my own home that I shared with Dylan. My children had to go stay with their father. I had gone to the courts, Cook County courts, and filed petitions for like 10 different court things. I wanted an order of protection against Dylan. I wanted them to revisit my custody arrangement because I was the primary custodial parent and I had lost everything. So I wanted to just have like a visitation schedule put into place where I could go pick up the kids and take them for the day or whatever. Because I lost my house. So even though I was the primary custodial parent, they were staying with their fathers. So I meet Xavier after all of this has kind of come to a head, and he says that his brother is the district attorney, Carlos Montoya, in the state of Illinois, and that they know what's going on with my case and they want to help, that he's going to take me to a safe house. We go to this place where his father lives, and randomly, like a month after we get there, they stage and curate. Basically, I think it's being used for human sex trafficking. That's what I think the 1244 residence is being used for.
Please don't say that.
I think that.
You're wrong.
And there are a number of reasons why I think that. The first one would be because there was a period of time that I had lost the ability to move my body. And I had no ability, literally, to move. It was like being paralyzed. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I am not okay with feet. I don't like feet touching me, like being on me or anything. Xavier, we weren't even sexually active yet. Somehow, Xavier initiated this paralysis feeling and began putting his feet all over my body, my face, my head, my arms, everywhere, from head to toe. I was trying to cry, but I couldn't. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I couldn't cry. I couldn't do anything. I could just lay there. And several other sexual things took place that were far worse than that in that area, in the 1244 Stone address. And
why are you saying this?
I'm on a live.
This is bullshit.
I swear to God on my life. But anyways, I've already documented this, and I have Xavier recorded admitting to all of it. So that's neither here nor there. Multiple other sexual assaults took place there. Or if they were actual sexual assaults, they were implied sexual assaults. So if you guys recall, when I was staying with someone right after I got unlawfully thrown out of my home, I would say within the first year, there was a guy named Andy, and I was staying with him in Lombard, Illinois. I had my own bedroom there with him, and I met him through a woman who I was doing promotions with for Open Road Radio. And I was doing promotions for Open Road Radio. I was actually on an episode of Open Road Radio. You could check it out. It's on their website, all of their archives. And I was doing this episode on Open Road Radio, and the lady who hired me was like, you know, you can stay with me for a while, but I know this guy who is a mechanic. He's a single guy, just him and his dog, and he's got a 3-bedroom house. You can go there and get your car fixed because I needed a new water pump or something in the Cadillac. She's like, and ask him, you know, if you feel comfortable with him, ask him to rent you one of the rooms in his house. And I'm like, that's a great idea, you know, because I was sleeping on bunk beds at Gina's house. So I go to get my water pump or whatever it was fixed at Andy's, and I go to sleep, and I wake up one day, or we agreed that I would move in. sorry, I skipped that part. We agreed that I would move in and that I would stay there. And I had one room on one side of the house, and he had his bedroom on the whole other side of the house. And Lombard is a relatively safe neighborhood. It's DuPage County. Law enforcement is, heavy all around. Like, the crime rate is fairly low. It's like a pretty decent place to, like, raise a family or live and, like, feel safe. So I went to sleep, and it was probably like 2 weeks after, maybe 3 weeks after I had already been staying there every day. And I woke up, and my bottoms to my bikini, because I was wearing it's like a bikini style panty that ties on the side. And when I woke up, it was untied on both sides and like flipped down. And I just had a t-shirt on, on the top. And I got really scared, and I asked him, like, had anyone been in the house? And I looked for other signs of sexual assault. And there were some, but I don't want to be graphic on here. And I got scared, and I went to Lombard Police, and I attempted to file a police report at Elmhurst and Lombard, but instead they accused me of fleeing and eluding, and said that basically going, on my way to where I was going, one day about a week prior, an officer tried to give me a stop sign ticket, followed me to Andy's house, and since allegedly I didn't stop for the ticket, they gave me a fleeing and eluding charge. Went to court, it got thrown away, and that was the end of it. But I still had to bond out for $400 from Lombard Police, and they did nothing about the allegation of sexual assault. No investigation, literally nothing, not a thing. I left there with nowhere to go because I didn't want to get raped. So they started doing things like that to me again. With the implied sexual assaults when I got to Xavier, he told me that his brother, and I had been blatantly sexually assaulted beside that, a guy, I had nowhere, and no way to rest, and they were really assaulting me, like, mentally and physically and financially, and I got really sick, and I wasn't okay, and, like, I had a cold, and I was just exhausted and, like, looking run down, and this person offered to get me a hotel room, and there's actually a friend of mine who directed me to this meeting place so that he could get me a hotel room at the Comfort Suites in, it's on Des Plaines River Road and I believe Irving Park Road. There's a location of Comfort Suites there next to the Chasers, and he knows the people who work there. If it's me getting a hotel, it's going to be 5 stars all day or 4 stars all day at the lowest. But I didn't have a position to it was like one of those beggars can't be choosers type deals. I had nowhere to go, and he said he would get me the room. So I was waiting for him at Chasers, and this guy approached me. He was a college basketball player. Finished college, didn't go to the NBA, opened up a business, import-export at O'Hare. Offered me a job in import-export at his business and an apartment. Told me, don't worry, we've got you, everything's going to be okay, we know what you've been through already, we're here for you, and all of this other stuff. And said he'd get me a hotel room for the night so that I could rest and that we'd move into the apartment the next day. Just me, not him, just me alone. And he raped me. He, by force, took off my clothing and raped me. And no one helped me. And there's recorded audio, and no one prosecuted, and no one asked me any information or anything. They wouldn't even investigate. So that's 2 occurrences of, not including what happened at the Stone Street address, possibly 3 occurrences of implied sexual assault. There were other times when I would be sleeping and I would wake up with what appeared to be like lubrication in my panties. lubrication, like white, milky lubrication. I don't have erotic dreams. I don't have orgasms in my sleep. To go to bed, in clean panties and pajamas and then wake up with that in your underwear, it's terrifying. And when I started calling law enforcement is when they started accusing me of being crazy. And this has been ongoing for 6 years now. So now it's starting again. They're breaking into my apartment. They're stealing from me. They stole a Bluetooth speaker. They stole a memory foam pillow. And this is before my post doing the FTR saying that I got an apartment in Edgewater. I did that because they had already broken in. And I feel like the people who usually protect us, maybe they lost us or something, because it's been like 6 to 9 months and it's just been nonstop harassment, shit talking, bullying, very similar to what, as I've said a million times, YouTube has record of all of this. The AI knows. So when you're posting pictures of tents and teeth and harassing me in the comments, that's liability for every platform and every person. This is 6 years and counting of me going live saying bullying is not acceptable, harassing is not acceptable, stalking, whether online or in person, is not acceptable. A YouTube, you don't have to be here. No one's forcing you to watch. Comments about me to hurt my feelings or make me cry, that is illegal in this country and in this state. So please prosecute the people who are doing that. Now, with regards to Weston's situation, we've been attending all of the visits regularly 3 times a week. And then every once in a while, this caseworker who doesn't have a college education and has somehow been a DCFS caseworker for 21 years, but has no ability to communicate without using slang words, derogatory words, misleading information, misleading accusations, etc., and so forth. This woman has been given the power and authority to mistreat myself or Xavier or both of us all the time and whenever she decides. And it's not just her. There are multiple other people and occurrences of this going on where things just do not add up. One day the caseworker says, you have to call and confirm at this time on this number. Then 3 weeks later, she calls and says, you're doing it wrong. Why are you confirming to this number and this time? And my response is, well, because you told us to. And her response is, no, I didn't. And then I'll send her a screenshot of where she literally typed it out and wrote it and texted it, and she'll still deny. So just the blatant gaslighting. I've now had 4 psychiatric evaluations and workups. All 4 of them say that there's nothing wrong with me. And my doctor of over 13 years, Haresh, he took the stand and said, there is absolutely no qualifying condition that makes me a bad mother. The PTSD and anxiety that I have does not prevent me from being a mother of my children, and that what they're doing is unlawful. So there's been 0 progress made. We're just doing the same 3 visits per week that we've always been doing since Weston was unlawfully taken in the first place. In addition to that, these little girl stalkers are real. Like, it looks like they staff Nordstrom like every 2 days with a new team. And like every time they do, it's just getting worse and worse. Like, it literally looks like it's children working in there. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just been so abusive. In addition to that, today is the 12th of the month. I pay my rent before the 15th every single month since I've been here. I've never missed a month, and I've been here. I have a 2-year lease that expires in May of 2027. So I don't know, what's been going on or what's switched lately, but they've been doing things to intentionally impact my income and to get in the way of the money that I'm earning, to leave me in a space where I'm scrambling around. I have a car payment, I have rent, I have insurance for my car. And then the city of Chicago has been inventing tickets that do not exist. With a witness in my backseat, and it's not just Xavier, I've also driven 2,000 Uber riders in the last 6 months and about 1,000 Lyft riders in 2 months. And that's just those two platforms. I also work many other platforms for food delivery and things of that nature. Now, with that being said, I have many, many witnesses who can not only to attest to the fact that I've not, been a crazy person, but more importantly, to the fact that as we approach traffic lights at various intersections, it appears as though the grid has been hacked. The light will change from green to red in an amount of time that is just not realistic to pass through and impossible to ignore. So it'll be like that. Xavier, have you observed this?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell them?
They switch the lights through the Bluetooth on your phone.
He thinks they're doing it through the Bluetooth on my phone. I don't know the technology behind it, but they've been doing it to me for approximately 6 to 8 weeks now. I would say it started in late August and has continued to now. It's intermittent, so weeks will go by that it won't happen, and then all of a sudden it'll start again. I've called 911 or local law enforcement's non-emergency number about 30 times to report that it's been going on, and the city of Chicago still keeps on ticketing me. So I'm on a payment plan for $5,000 worth of tickets that I already paid in 2019 that should be non-issues. And then they made me go onto an early payment plan. And then when I showed up to pay the payment plan today, they said that there were 6 more tickets, all speeding and red light tickets, which the city of Chicago has made speeding and red light tickets unlawful. For 3 years, we've not had speeding tickets or red light tickets, or cameras rather. So in Chicago, it's the 13th of November, 2025. My name is Heather Gillespie. I'm here with Xavier as my witness. The big kids, Vivi is in school for esthetician, and she just got an apartment with her significant other and their baby. They moved to another county. My youngest daughter, Alexis, is 12 years old this year, and her father and his new significant other just bought a house in the burbs near O'Hare, so by where my other kids live. And my son is 17 in his senior year of high school, finishing the year strong. And the baby is doing great. It's just this drama systemically and unlawful, unethical targeting that continues to stand in the way. I would like to ask that all and any sponsors who have been a part of this, moving, from the beginning to now, begin to speak up. And I would literally be begging anyone in the audience to observe all of the things that they've done to us, who has any access to resources or financial assistance. They're just, railroading me day after day, mentally and emotionally exhausting me, and just bringing me to this space where I don't even want to live anymore. And that's not a mental health disorder. That is a response that's totally valid to intense and severe antagonistic behavior and abusive behavior, being raped multiple times, being held against your will, being forced to not only discuss the ways you've been attacked, but to relive them over and over and over and over is unlawful. Everything that they've done is in violation to the United States Constitution. And I think it's time for sure that, and that's another thing. They're saying that members of the military, so if they're sending in National Guard or ICE, they're saying that these people keep women as dick suckers and riders and women who will be FUCKED sexually, so that the people coming in as National Guard or Marines or undercover police, they basically have a designated rape victim that their job is to be raped by these agencies. And it's fucking sick. And they're trying to say that when they were holding me in the tent while I was pregnant with Weston, that's what they were doing to me. So that's the update. I still continue to work 7 out of 7 days of the week. I still continue to be hopeful and optimistic that my team will be back, that my income will be raised, that Xavier's phone will be replaced. He's been without a phone for almost 6 months now, which makes it nearly impossible for me to go to work driving Uber, because without a phone for him, and he's not allowed to stay in my apartment during the day, I can't find him at night after I'm done driving. And when I'm done driving, it's usually between 10 and midnight. I'm exhausted. I don't have the emotional capacity to be driving around screaming out his name like he's a little lost puppy, you know? So having a partner who's completely normal, you know, the first 3 years of our relationship, who it would be like if we were carrying stuff and it was heavy for me, he would be like, babe, sit down, I've got it. He was so chivalrous and such a gentleman, and it just hasn't been that way since Weston's been born, basically. Weston was born and Xavier started cross-dressing. And after he started cross-dressing, various other behaviors became noticeable. And I'm still trying to reconcile from everything that happened before I met Xavier, from 2015 to 2022. Right? The extortion from David, everything that went on with Dylan, the human trafficking, the human sex trafficking, all of it. And I still can't, and then add on top of that, insult to injury, I'm trying to figure out still why the court system in 2020 refused to allow me to go in front of a judge, but allowed him a temporary OP under the understanding that he was afraid for his life because I have these huge muscles and was going to kill him. I don't. Powers over me, and he is on steroids, or was on steroids when we were together. He definitely could have easily killed me with his hands, and there were many times I thought that he would. But from there, not getting answers from the court system about why, to this very day, on YouTube and many other platforms, and this is not for entertainment, this is real. This is my real experience. With recordings of these women and showing my phone, okay, I'm dialing 31292, you know, whatever the number is to the courthouse. I would show the live feed, and then I would put it on speaker, and I would ask these women about when my court dates were and all of this, and they would blatantly violate so many laws. I mean, the constitutional right to due process. Like, they would blatantly violate not only my rights as a human being, but my rights as a citizen of this country. And I would record it and post it up on YouTube, and it's all still there. It's all still there. Yet, here we are 5 years later, and they're starting with the same shit over and over and over. They underdrafted 2 of my 3 bank accounts. So I had PNC, Wintrust, and Chase. They underdrafted the PNC to $722 and the Wintrust to $900 and something. Had to close those, file formal disputes. Still have not had any resolution for that. I got approved for my very first credit card of my life. I'm 38 years old, but if anyone asks, 29. And my Botox lady and I are committed to 29, so we're definitely not going to be